All right, it's time for the Yak Attack with Dungeon Brew Coffee Crew, the podcast where we stir up conversations about coffee, games, and all the things that keep us caffeinated and creative. Let's get yakking. All right, on today's episode, we are tackling brewing with screams. We are here with two of the founders for the Screamiverse Expo, Angelica Jimenez and Anthony
Giordano.
Giordano. Yeah, Giordano.
Giordano. Yep.
Hello.
Close enough.
So both of you are founders, two of five from the Screamiverse Expo, and you both have experience specifically with special effects like makeup. Am I correct?
Yes.
I also have experience with conventions as well.
Okay, okay. I saw Anthony's mini bio on the IMDb, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that looks so impressive. And I'm like, hey, I've seen a couple of those. Years ago, I had seen a TV show where they did competitions on makeup and the prosthetics and stuff like that, and that was just an amazing show. And to have somebody, actually know how to do all that stuff is just fascinating to me.
Actually, some of my students, past students, were on that show.
Oh, really? There you go. I believe it was called Face Off.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was asked to be on season 2, but it wasn't for me.
Okay, so Angelica has been doing special effects for, that's what you call it, right? Just special effects overall.
Well, yeah, I'm a makeup artist, and I actually can specialize in special effects, but I also sometimes do beauty too, even though I prefer special effects.
Okay.
It's more
Okay.
fun.
And I will include Anthony's IMDb link in the description below because there is just a lot of stuff to go through on that. It's just uh, a lot of credentials. Um, and so we can go ahead and dive into this. Let's go ahead and just kind of touch on Anthony's experience here. You have movie credits, you have Broadway credits, you have musical credits, you have the fabrication. What I don't even know what that one consists of. So just go ahead
I
and
mean,
kind of give us an overview.
um, I've done a lot of different things in my career. You know, I always looked at it this way: if it was something I remotely think I could do, I always gave it a good try, good shot, and people seem to like it. And I I think that versatility is really a good thing as an artist. Especially, it's really hard to be an artist and make a living, especially starting out. So I think versatility is really important. So I mean, I've done everything besides makeup and special effects. I was an EMT for 7 years, so I learned a lot of my blood and gore references from firsthand knowledge. And I worked for a toy company. Um, I've worked for Major League Baseball. I've worked for lots of different companies throughout my career. So I just like to keep it fresh and new and have something. I don't like to do the same thing, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, right, okay. And Angelica, can you give us some of your highlights, an
Sure.
overview of what you've done?
So I kind of just actually I kind of just stumbled upon makeup. I was originally I was in the Marine Corps. I'm a veteran, and I so to make a long story short, I um, I got injured in Iraq, and so I had to come home. And when I knew I had to restart my life, and so I had a lot of influence with an esthetician that was helping me with some of the scarring that I had. So I decided she influenced me to the point where it inspired me to go to skincare school. And so when you go to skincare school, a part of that education that you get, they touch on makeup. And I had a professor there that she kept on saying that I was really good at makeup, and she's like, "You really need to explore this avenue." And she gave me the idea to go to a famous school called MUD, which is makeup designery in New York City, and the rest is history. I went to school, and then I just kind of branched from there. And I started working for Anthony, and we did a lot of different productions together, including the Terrifier movie. And I actually, when I was working for Anthony, we did Major League Baseball commercials. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow.
So that's pretty much how I stumbled upon it, you know.
Some stumbling is good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
All right. So what was it that drew both of you to horror specifically
Yeah.
as like a medium before your
Well,
career?
you, you know what? I just love horror. I did. I mean, you know, ever since I was a child, something about it always gravitated towards horror movies. I love the excitement, the adrenaline rush when you watch a movie, you know, or when you go to a haunted house or anything kind of creepy. It's that adrenaline rush that you get that, you know, gives you all those amazing vibes, and it's all fun, you know, and especially after going through school and you see the magic behind it about like the special effects that they do in a lot of these, especially the older movies, you learn to appreciate it more, and it's an entire universe that I just tend to gravitate towards. How about you?
Um, I was never censored as a kid. I was always allowed to watch anything I wanted. Um, I was one of those kids. My hands were over my face, but I was looking.
Right.
But and then I would have nightmares about it, and there was just something about the adrenaline rush and being scared and freaked out. Always, once it was over, I wanted more. But at the time, I'm talking a little kid. We're talking 4 or 5 years old. I just liked weird, crazy monsters, and it just was morphed from there. Um, and it's just something I always gravitated towards. And even if I drew a flower or something like that, there's always a weird darkness to it that I always brought to whatever I did. It didn't matter what it was. So making things scary came really naturally to me. Um, that's really honestly the truth of it. Um, but I got into horror. So I got a quick story. When I was a little kid, my father took me to haunted houses. We're talking, 5, 6 years old, and there was a real famous haunted house on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey, and it's called Dracula's Castle. And on top of the castle was a walk-through haunt, but underneath the castle was a moat ride, and the moat ride would take you underneath the castle, and there was a Glen Reaper statue. Looks like it was rowing, but it's static, didn't move. And my father assured me, I believe it was 1980, 80, 81. He assured me nothing was going to happen to me. It's all make believe. He was trying to show me that there's nothing to be afraid of. Well, we get in this boat ride, and the wall, you're in like this like kind of canal, and the actors were head level to you, laying down almost. The first actor I came across, he reached over and he grabbed my arm and he told me he was going to eat me and he was going to be under my bed and, said all these scary things to me. Well, that's all fine. I was scared, and my father was like, let go of him. And so
Mm.
while he has my arm, the boat is still going. My arm is now this way. He's almost pulling me out of the boat. And my father kept yelling, "You don't let my son go. I'm going to hit you. Let my son go. Let him go now." And boom, he punched the guy in the face. I just started the ride. So now I'm mortified. I'm going through this Haunted Mansion ride. We get off the ride, and there's cops standing there, and there's this kid full of blood. And the cops come
Hardcore.
over, and they grab my dad and they lean him over the car and put the handcuffs on him. And they asked him what happened. They asked this guy that got punched in the face what happened. And then they asked me what happened, and wound up, it was the early 80s. There was a little slap on the hand, apologies, and we were on our way. We were not allowed to go back to that haunted house again, but I think it did something to me and it changed my brain because it traumatized me in a way that I guess the adrenaline of it all made me want to seek more. So I was super infatuated with haunted houses throughout my life, and wound up opening my own haunted attraction in New Jersey. I did another one in Staten Island. I did another one in Roanoke, and it was just something that always was a passion of mine. It was Halloween and scariness and scaring people. I mean, I do it for fun. My own personal fun. I terrify her all the time. But yeah, that's kind of where I think everything kind of started from there. Was that and watching horror movies throughout my youth, just enjoying being scared and having a good scare.
Right. Right. All right. Okay. So now, as far as your careers go, what has been the most challenging or your favorite transformation that you've created to date?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I was really proud of it's an indie film. I think it's called I forgot what it's called. I think it's Unusual Suspect. I was pretty proud of the monster that we created. Actually, I think I sent a picture over. I thought that was pretty cool. It was an overnight film, very low budget, but it was the first job that I ever had, and as far as special effects makeup goes, and I thought the monster that we created was amazing, and even though he was only in the movie for like 5 minutes, and it took like almost 8 hours to do this makeup. I was really proud of it, and I don't know. I guess the first time is always the time where it's like a wow factor, like wow, I did something,
Yeah.
so
And I'll make sure to try to get that images up here for people to see
yeah,
what you're talking
sure.
Sure. Yeah, you could visit my Instagram page. A lot of the stuff I probably talk about is on that as well if you want to utilize any of those things. As far as for me, my most memorable is the question you asked.
Your
Um,
most challenging or your favorite? So most
yeah,
memorable would work.
every job is challenging. I just made some teeth for Stephen Colbert, and that was challenging last month. Challenging wise, I would say making haunted houses was the hardest jobs I've ever worked on. It was the hardest I ever worked. Is creating haunted attractions from scratch, and sometimes with a deadline that wasn't realistic, and I still pulled it off. Um, but yeah, the haunted houses are definitely the most challenging.
Um, let's see. Creativity. If you were, if you could create the ultimate horror villain, what would he look like? And I have a bonus question after this.
Well, I have a lot of ideas in my head for horror movies because that's, I think, the next direction that I want to go in is start write and produce and make my own films. Um, so I don't want to give anything away if that's what you're trying to ask me. Because it's a very cutthroat industry and people will take your ideas if you throw them out there. But I got some
Could you
tricks up my.
could you like give us a theme? Like would you go like the unexpected or would you go like gruesome or which way would you lean, do you think, for the ultimate? With like
For
no no expense, is too great type of thing. Sky's the limit.
I would say unexpected. I think unexpected is definitely a more wow factor. You know, you can be I've seen some serious gruesome, art, and sometimes I don't know. I feel like if you
it
do
cheapens
something,
it.
if you do something that's unexpected, that's what catches the audience for sure.
I would say that my directing style or the way I want to do things is going to be pretty well thought out in the sense of um, I want unexpected things to happen, and I want little. I like when you watch a movie and you see little something going on in the background that if you weren't paying attention, you missed it, or just little
Yeah.
pieces of candy that are dropped throughout the film, and you
Right.
have your big payouts, of course, but I find that movies that lay it all out there and show every single aspect of it, um, it desensitizes you. I like
Right.
the old style films. You know, I think what my favorite movie of all time was Jaws, and that's a perfect example. Half the time, the shark didn't even work. So I think the shark total was maybe 8 minutes long.
Right.
Almost like a cameo for it, even though it was all
Right.
about the. It was the other things that added to the film, and I don't know. I've always respected that. You don't need to show the monster and tons of gore to be really effective. If you ever watch the movie Scarface, there's a famous scene where his friend gets cut up with a chainsaw, and people were thought it was so brutal and so disgusting. But you really didn't see anything except for a little blood and the sound of a chainsaw. Your mind is what really put all that stuff in perspective of why it's horrific. You're
Right.
almost forced to fill in the gaps. But I kind of look at filmmaking in that way, that I would like to do the same thing, is let your imagination and your mind fill in some of those gaps so it
Right.
becomes a little more personal to you.
Right. And it's always more intense and more scary when your own imagination takes hold, I think.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so the bonus is, what would their coffee order be?
Mhm.
Something strong. Espresso.
I'll go with a double espresso and a scoop of ice cream.
Yeah, something sweet too. Sweet ice cream. That
All
always
right,
makes it.
unexpected. All right.
Very good. Ice cream is definitely
No
not
cherry?
known cherries.
Oh, okay. I like cherries too.
Okay, so now I want you to tell us all about Screamiverse Expo. How did it come about? How did it come to life?
Well, um, Angelica and I started a haunted attraction in Virginia, in Roanoke, called Blue Ridge Nightmares, and it it was there for 3 years. We were voted the most unique haunted attraction on the East Coast. I was very proud of what we put together. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. It's no longer in existence. But I met some great people, and not so some great people. But
So,
we we definitely met some people that were very talented. And one individual, his name is Dan Johnson. He was like my right hand with special effects things. Um, he um, he and I worked really well together, and when it was all over, we went out to lunch a couple different times, and he said to me, "What would it take for you to stay in Roanoke?" Because we moved out of Roanoke. Um, and I said, "There's really nothing you could do to keep me here because I really want to be in warmer climate." So we moved down south, and he said, "Well, even if you did move, I have this idea, and I want to do a haunted attraction convention in Roanoke." And I said to him, I said, before I didn't even have to think about it, Roanoke's this really small city, and I really feel that majority of the people across the country that owned and operated haunted attractions weren't going to come to Roanoke, Virginia. But I did. I was a judge at the Comic Con there, and we presented a booth for the haunted attraction. And I know that people in Roanoke really liked Comic Con, but there wasn't really any element of horror there, and there wasn't really a huge sci-fi. I mean, there was some Star Wars stuff and Star Trek things and whatever, but it wasn't really geared towards the horror end of sci-fi. Um, and I'm a huge music fan. I started in this business doing music videos as a professional, um, and I'm originally from New Jersey, and New Jersey's known for starting the very first horror convention. So I've been going to horror conventions my whole life since I'm a little kid, and those conventions have been copied throughout the country, whether it be horror or the punk rock flea market. Uh, the convention that I used to go to when I was a kid was called Chiller Theater, and that's been around 40 almost 40 years, and it set the precedence for what a convention could be. So I thought, what if Roanoke had a horror sci-fi convention that incorporated music and arts, and then it kind of morphed into some tattoos. We have tattoo people that are going to be there, um, live doing tattoos, and we're going to have an after party with some bands that are really great.
Authors, film
Authors,
showcase.
yeah, independent film. But I feel like it encompasses everything that we like um, in this industry, all wrapped up in one. Because let's face it, if you only have one theme, only one particular type of person might come to this. But when you have a bunch of different themes, it really appeals to more of a mass fan base.
And so we decided that we wanted to put this convention together, and we had a friend who is the owner of Hex Haunted Attraction, which is up in Elliston, and he always wanted to do a convention as well. And so Anthony had linked up with Dan Johnson and Tim Meadows, who is the owner of Hex, and then asked, hey, which he has a lot of experience doing conventions as well, and he always wanted to do his own convention. So it was kind of like an easy marriage. So Anthony was in the middle. Dan Johnson wanted to do a convention. Tim Meadows wanted to do the convention. So then we came all together, and then Tim Meadows' right-hand man, Mark Dye.
He didn't die; he's still alive.
Yeah, that's his last name. Mark Dye. He that's Tim Meadows' right-hand man, and we all have something that we could bring to the table, and we created what Screamiverse is going to be next week, which we're super excited. And also it's down to like the last wire, so we're going a little crazy trying to organize everything, of course, but we all brought our ideas to the table, and we all brought our strengths, and that's how Screamiverse Expo came to life, basically.
And I had experience with HauntCon, and I used to be the assistant to the owner of um, Makeup Artist magazine and the International Makeup Trade Show. So I kind of know about how conventions work. And Tim Meadows, the owner of Hext, he was working at Fear Expo, helping them organize, and he was their head of, I guess, one of the aspects of their convention. So I thought it just was really a great fit because Dan and Tim didn't know each other, but I was kind of, I guess, the catalyst to bring everybody together. And then I really honestly wanted them to just do it, and as friends of both of theirs, but they're like, no, 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 we're not doing this without you and Angelica. You're part of this, otherwise, forget it. We're not doing it. So, and I feel like Roanoke really needed something like this. It's a great little city that, just needed some more entertainment.
Yeah, the response that we're getting from putting this together has been absolutely amazing, and I'm so excited to see how it's going to turn out, really and truly. And we've been working on Screamiverse Expo for over a year now. So this merging of the 5 partners that we have happened about a year and a half ago.
No, it was in April.
April of last year?
Yeah.
Was it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay, then maybe a year. It seems like a year and a half. So maybe about a year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in April.
So yeah, it's it's pretty crazy actually, but amazingly crazy.
So, what as a highlight of the event, what can fans expect uh, when they go in?
So
What?
this is kind of like this is a convention that is similar to most, like, I guess it has its own energy. Like Anthony mentioned before, we wanted to bring different types of avenues that, um, of course, all of us have passion for, which is horror. We wanted to use punk rock music. You know,
Heavy metal.
yeah, heavy metal, rock and roll. We wanted to have that kind of energy to it. But then we also wanted to bring in arts. Every single one of us have that art, background, and so we wanted to focus on that. So there's just so much to expect from interesting special guests that we have. We have an author showcase of authors that are famous for writing, bestseller horror books, and we have some great bands coming up. The tattooing and piercing is something definitely a lot of people are super excited about. So it's different from your usual like Comic-Con, where it's just mostly about comics. It's kind of like that same convention energy, but in a different genre. So there's a lot to expect. Actually, we have so much jam packed into one weekend. It's insane,
Right.
actually.
And yeah, we also have a friend of mine, Todd Jones. He's a union stuntman in Hollywood and well, New York mostly, but he's definitely a really, really amazing strongman, and he's going to be doing a whole strongman show where he does all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm not sure what he has scheduled, but I know the man can bend horseshoes and rip phone books in half. He uses a hot water bottle. He can blow it up and actually make it burst with just using his lungs. There's just so many cool things that Todd can do. So I thought he was a really cool element. Um, but there's a little bit for anybody. Even if you don't like horror, there's going to be some cool things there for you. We'll definitely come and see. And I don't think it'll ever be the same every year either. We're really mixing it up.
All right. Well, Dungeon Brew Coffee is going to be there, so you know
Yeah,
we've got your
we're excited.
beverages covered.
Coffee
Let's
always
see,
makes everything better.
right? Yeah,
And I'm
we
sure
got
we're
we
going to
got we got the coffee, the lemonades,
need.
tea. We just got something for everybody, just like y'all with
Yeah,
the different um,
the same
vendors
energy.
coming in.
Yeah, cater to
Yeah,
everyone, absolutely.
Versatility.
and who doesn't like dragons?
Yeah, if they don't, there's something wrong with them.
Exactly, I agree. Okay, so I think it is time for the coffee confession corner.
Okay.
What is your go-to brew or horror-fueled caffeine habit?
My caffeine habit or go-to brew. I'm pretty
Yeah, like if you're
simple.
working hard and you need a pick me up.
If I'm working hard, well, if I drink tea mostly, but if I I used to drink a lot of coffee, and when I do have coffee, I like it light. So I'm pretty simple when it comes to my coffee, and I like it strong. I have to taste the coffee, so I just like it light with no sugar. I like to drink it like that. My
Okay.
tea, I'm a sucker for fruit teas and green teas. That's mine. Right.
I'm the same in a lot of ways, but coffee wise, I like iced coffee. Um, for me, if it wasn't a hassle, I would probably go with a iced espresso with light cream and a little bit of coconut cream.
All right.
I
Sounds
love
good to me.
cooking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's where I that's my go-to.
All right. And hey, Dungeon Brew offers all of that. So we got you covered.
Yeah, I'm excited.
What would you say it has been your scariest makeup mishap?
Makeup mishap. This is a long time ago. This is about 15 years ago. I was working on a TV pilot, and the theme was um, kind of like what do you call it? A spin-off of I Dream of Jeannie. I didn't make up this concept. I just worked for them. But basically, Jeannie has a kid, and the kid is in college, and it was just basically his antics in college as a genie. And the actor that hired to play the genie had the biggest head I've ever seen on a human being. Um, and it was a Sunday morning, and I started makeup at 5:30, and I had to put a bald cap on this guy and paint them blue. He almost looked like a cartoon version of what a genie would look like. Um, so he had these big pants and no shirt on, and I had to paint them all blue. And I get this bald cap on him, and I pull him the back, and the whole bald cap split right down the middle.
Oh no.
No big deal. I got another one, so I get the other one. I start putting that on his head. That one ripped. I have one more. I put it on his head. This is how big this guy's head was. I mean, I put the last one on, and it just disintegrated. I don't know. And these are really like the best that money could buy. They're Alcone ball caps, which is a company in New York that makes their own. Um, so I wound up. I'd say most people would freak out. If you rip three ball caps, you don't have any more. There's no place to buy them on a Sunday morning in New York City. So I had to just kind of figure it out, and I glued a whole bunch of ball caps together
Okay.
and put it on his head, and it wound up working out really well. The pilot never went anywhere, but that was pretty stressful for me because you have to figure it out. You can't just say I give up and walk away. You'll never get called again. So that was a major one for me. Um, I had another one where TSA stole all of my makeup, all my liquid makeups, like
Oh wow.
$3,000 worth of makeup, and I was flown first class from Newark to Michigan to work on a movie called Things Fall Apart with 50 Cent. And
Apt name for the last story.
what's that?
I said that's an apt name given the last story you told.
Yeah. um, so I had to make it work. I didn't even tell anybody what happened until it was done. But I did the most Googled image of, I think, 2014, 12. I don't remember what year it came out. But it was the most Googled image was that makeup of that year.
Okay.
And the movie did really well. I mean, 50 Cent is still doing movies to this day. I think he's a pretty talented actor, and he's a really great guy to work with. So that was stressful because I didn't have everything I needed, and I just you go back to your primary colors and secondary colors, and you learn how to just adapt and make it look awesome. What you have. Luckily, I was smart enough to pack some stuff into my own bag too,
Good
but I
going.
did. My carry-on had a bunch of makeup. So,
All
what about
right.
you?
So, do you have one?
You know what? I don't because every time I'm in trouble, I just call him, and he takes me out of it. So I have not had a mishap, knock on wood, yet, and I don't intend to. So
All
he's been my,
right.
yeah.
All right. Great. Okay. So, where can people follow you and find out more about your event?
So we have several different social media platforms. We have um, uh, on Instagram, it's at Screamiverse Expo, or at Screamverse. We also have TikTok, and we have a Facebook account, Screamiverse Expo. And then we also have a website, screamiverse.com, www.screamiverse.com. And it has all the details of everything there. You can buy your tickets and you can see all the insane amount of features that we have for just one very small weekend. It's crazy.
Excellent.
So,
All right, and I'll make sure I'll put the links in the description also.
absolutely.
And
Thank
if
you.
you want to follow anything I do, I have an Instagram page, which is my name, Anthony Giordano, with F and an X on Instagram.
All right. Did you want to give any shout outs?
No, just
Um,
come to Screamiverse.
uh,
Just come to
I would
Scream-
like to. I would like to shout out some of our sponsors if we
Oh,
could.
absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely Hex Haunted Attraction, because if it wasn't for them, there would be no Screamiverse.
Mhm.
Dan Johnson, of course.
Hamler, our
Oh
Hamler
yeah,
Pet Cemetery.
we have a pet cemetery as our sponsor. That's
Oh,
awesome.
we have Beards and Shears. Another one of our sponsors is a barbershop, and then we also have Anderson Windows as one of our sponsors.
All right.
And we also have a animal shelter
Yes, we're
as one of
also
our people that we're promoting.
yeah, another feature that we have is we wanted to also involve community engagement. So we are doing a blood drive through the Blood Connection. They're coming for the weekend, and they actually offer a gift card for everyone who donates blood. And then a portion of the proceeds goes to the Southwest Virginia Wildlife Center, which we personally have experience
Yeah,
with.
we had to bring some
Yeah,
wildlife there.
yeah, that was in the yard once. So we definitely, yeah, that's a huge shout out to them as well. So you can also feel good about yourself by donating blood or donating money to the Southwest Virginia Wildlife Center. And their animals are coming to to the convention. By the way, they're going to bring some of their animal ambassadors, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe you
Yeah.
can do like an animal friendly coffee cup for them.
I might be able to find something. Maybe they like lemons.
Yeah, maybe pep them up.
All right. So before we wrap up, I'd like to give a big thanks to you, uh, Angelica and Anthony, for joining us today and sharing your expertise and experiences. We really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. And of course, I'd like to thank all of our listeners for being part of today's Yak Attack. Your support keeps us going, and we're grateful to have you along for the ride. You've been listening to the Yak Attack with Dungeon Brew Coffee Crew. If you're loving the brew and the banter, yickety yak and come on back. Same yak time, same yak channel.